now we are live. Hopefully the audio is working. We'll see if anyone starts submitting questions. Greetings. What questions do people have about consulting? I don't know if non-consultants are allowed. I'll toss out some newbie questions. Yes. I'm also happy to answer that question you asked before on Twitter, Josh. I think you were asking, let's pull it up. So we will pull up this question. Just playing with these streaming. Basically, we have Josh. Oh wait, no, this is a different Josh asking the question. Like, what is strategy consulting? So I have a video about this where I break it down. I think the best way to answer this is that there's strategy consulting, which is basically the industry classification of what people think about when they think about firms like McKinsey, Bain, Boston Consulting Group, Deloitte. And then there are a number of other firms that do strategy work. And what they're really talking about is the level of the organization they're working at. They're working with CEOs, vice presidents, executives, and things like that, mostly on big decisions, either big spend programs or figuring out how to think about the company and shifting it towards the future. Consulting more broadly as an industry does all sorts of things, and you have consultants across different industries, construction to finance to banking to software to pretty much everything specific. And then you have functional consultants, operations, finance, strategy, marketing, sales, etc. And so even within the big firms, you have specialists along those different areas. And I mean, that hopefully answers some questions. What else do we have? See if other people join. This is the first time I've done a live stream. We have 3 people now. Oh, now 2 people. Not blowing up, but it looks like the technology is working at least. Let's post it. Hello, Dawn. Say Josh had no experience in strategy consultant, but he was arrogant. He thinks it'll be easy. He manages to book a consulting gig. What will he immediately notice is harder than expected? Interesting. So I think, if we're talking about freelance consulting, I think the thing that will be a lot harder than expected is basically dealing with other people. When you're dealing with the client, a big thing that is hidden in terms of what consultants do is basically predicting how people are going to behave, what are they going to be worried about, trying to understand where they fit in the context of their organization, trying to design the work and communicate to them such that it makes them comfortable, makes them look good, makes them confident, enables them to actually help you and have confidence that you want to help them. So it's really the relationship side of things. I think a lot of the stuff around consulting can be pretty easy in terms of the work. Most people could be consultants if they only had to focus on the work part, which is do something you're good at and help somebody else make sense of it, and then do that. But when you're dealing with a client and you're dealing with a complex organization, it changes the dynamics of what you're actually thinking about. Good question. 2 for 2, Josh. What else do we have? We have 5 people now. This is a record for StrategyU. This is the first live stream also. So post it. We're going to try and get this up to 10 and really blow it out here. Drop questions. I think I'm pointing the right way. No. Yeah. Drop questions over here. And I'll answer them. I'm happy to open up PowerPoint too. We can go through Excel. I'm happy to share presentations, how I make presentations. Send me any questions. And let's see what we can get. We have 7 people now. 8. Oh my God, so good. Hello everyone. Greetings from Taiwan. I am in Taiwan right now. It's about 9:45. And unless you want me to keep talking and rambling, I need questions. I messed up the pointing. Questions are over here. Good questions from Josh. We have 9 people watching now. What else in strategy consulting? So I think one of the biggest things that I often talk to people about consulting that I learned was that you're shifting from what you do to how you do it. So it's really thinking about, okay, I have to do task A, which is a very traditional job mindset, to, okay, there is a process I follow. I don't actually know what the output will look like, and I'm going to follow these steps to hopefully get to something that's interesting, but I don't actually know what that interesting is. So that's the biggest thing I typically talk to people about. And that shift is kind of surprising for some people. I've coached some executives and they never thought about it like that. So that's a consulting idea. We have 7 people watching now. Say hi in the chat if you're here. Just make me feel like I have some friends out there. Thanks, Josh. You're my biggest fan right now. I'm happy to talk about careers. I work as a solo creator now. I do freelancing. I screw around on YouTube poorly, as you can tell. Hello, Arvind. Nice to see you. Yeah, if you're here, also drop in, hey Shivam, say where you're joining from as well. I am greetings. 12 people now. Amazing. Oh, it is the same Josh. All right, let's, all right, I'll answer that question in a second, Josh. What is the attitude of interviewers in BCG, McKinsey towards candidates who say that they want to start their own business or later or change their job in 5 years or something? So leaving consulting is not that big of a deal. Most people know you'll probably end up leaving, and they don't really care. Even when you're there, you can talk about leaving. I think the issue would be you don't want to actually be talking about that in an interview. You don't want to say, they're not going to ask you, okay, why are you coming here? Oh, I want to come here so I can leave and start a business, right? I think what's more interesting is how do you actually give them a story of what you're actually excited and energized about, right? Because you actually have to live those 5 years. In the meantime, what about that business can you work on now, right? Maybe you want to start an e-commerce or software business. That might mean you're excited about software. So in the interview, you want to be talking about, I'm actually really excited about software. Maybe I'm thinking about doing something in the future, but right now I want to work in consulting and look at software through this lens with the work you do. And it will help me figure out what I want to do, but ultimately I want to help shape the biggest problems in thinking of the companies I'm working with in consulting. How to land a consulting gig without any background in consulting experience to showcase. I think this one's hard, right? Because it's so competitive. I think the best ways are to go through an educational institution, so either through undergrad or grad school, and schools that go directly into the pipeline of these companies. But they do hire a lot of people laterally, and I think people don't think about consulting skills. They think about, I'm not a consultant by title, but think about the skills. So how can you learn project management skills? How can you learn teamwork? How can you learn kind of making sense of information, doing interviews, doing the behaviors that a consultant would do? So how can you actually do that? And then I tell people, be a little more creative on your resumes. Like, you don't have to say you're business analyst 4 if that's what your company says, right? Say you're a project consultant. If that's what you really do and you can describe yourself in terms of consulting behaviors, that can be really helpful. So that's my best advice. And then the second thing you can do, first thing is use your job to actually practice and do consulting skills. The second thing you can do is do pro bono consulting on the side. Most people don't consider this. You can either do this for pay through a freelance talent platform or try to find pro bono clients. And you can do it with this script. Reach out to somebody that has a business, small business ideally, so you're not too stressed, and say, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a consultant. I want to do a project. I'm willing to do this for free or low pay. I'm happy to do it for low pay if you think it would be better for us and hold us committed to each other. And I want to do a project with your company. And I want to do this in 3 months. I want to help find a problem, and I want to do a kick-ass job. And this is going to help me build my skills. All I want from you is feedback and the opportunity to work on something. I might struggle with things and need to figure out things as I go. But hopefully this can be win-win in the end. So I think those two things can be really helpful to doing consulting without being a consultant yet. So we have 9 people now. Drop in the chat where you're from. Shivam, welcome from India. Let's see what else. I will throw up Josh's question again. So this was his question, which was, I'm particularly interested in low friction ways to prove to yourself that you can sustainably make money freelancing, right? Seems the minimum ticket price is thousands, which comes with it a lot of setup, marketing, social proof. So I think this is a real concern. And this is definitely a real challenge. I think if you want to throw in the chat more details about this situation. But essentially, there is the only way to prove it to yourself is to go through. I think my first gig was $200, and I did this on a freelance talent platform, and I basically lowballed just to get a gig such that I could overperform, get good feedback, and feel confident that, okay, I am actually a consultant now. My next gig was $1,000 to hold a sign. Searching for people around New York City, getting people to answer survey questions. And that was through a talent platform as well. So talent platforms can be great just to get your feet wet and try to maybe even lowball just to guarantee you get a gig. And then my next gig was for an actual client working basically like up to 10 to 15 days a month. And they paid me a fixed rate. And I was terrified. They actually made me an offer and I didn't negotiate. That was pretty generous. And they took it based on like what they knew I made in my previous job. So it was pretty good. But I think a good way to think about this is actually to start with, okay, how much does my life cost? And then work backwards. I have a freelance target income calculator I can send you. But how much does my life cost? And then how much am I trying to work? And for when you're starting out, like the amount of freelancing you can do is very little because you aren't just flowing with clients. And then how much does that mean I need to make per hour, right? So if you want to do like 40 hours of freelance work a month, how much do you need to make to meet a certain amount per month, right? So if you want to make $4,000 a month and you want to work 40 hours, you need to charge $100 an hour, right? And then you can work backwards from that and say, okay, this is something I can support my life. I'm not willing to take anything under $100. Hopefully that answers it. I'll write up more thoughts in my newsletter this week, but that should be a good start. You can drop it in the chat if you have more clarifications or questions. It's hard for me to go super deep on this, but essentially what I do is increase my price with every project. So it's kind of like moving your way into your own confidence, and it's hard. It's a leap of faith every time, and I think if you're not at least getting rejected on price once in your first year, you probably need to increase prices. More details. I'm an engineer. Yeah, I probably need to think about the details. Let me think about this. I think it's also just a reframing. I think people tend to think about what they should get paid as a freelancer as, okay, I used to do this job for $50,000 a year. That means I'm worth $25 an hour. That is not the frame you should be looking at. You should be looking at it from your client's perspective. One, you're available immediately. Companies spend tens of thousands of dollars to hire people. You're available immediately, and they should be willing to pay a premium for that. Two, you're not getting any benefits, and you're not getting any health care. A good negotiating tactic can often be saying, if somebody says your rate's really high, and you can just say, well, yeah, I pay for my own health care benefits, and I don't have the stability of a full-time job. If they're like, too bad, we want to lowball you, that's probably not somebody you should be working for. Takeshi, welcome to the chat. We have 7 people now. As the concept of DX, I think that means digital transformation. Give me a thumbs up if that's right. Becomes popular. Do you think pure strategy consulting firm is worth to go? All the strategy firms are doing large digital transformation work. So yes, if you want to do digital transformation, consulting firms are probably the best places to go because you can do it across many different firms and see all the different challenges. Um, yeah, I think your question might mean more broadly, uh, tech like technology is shifting the way the whole economy and business world is shaping up. And I think there's a point there. There's the consulting industry basically services the mainstream economy. However, they have shifted and they are serving companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon, etc. Basically, these companies want help thinking about problems at scale, and they don't have people that are thinking about problems at scale at the highest level outside of their executive team. So they're still going to bring in people at consulting firms to think about this. But the career path of consulting is very tracked. It's work in consulting, go work in corporate strategy at big companies. So if you don't like working at big companies, it might not be the best path. But I think many people that work in consulting I know are now working in the tech industry as well. So it's not mutually exclusive. Cool. Wait another minute, see if there's questions. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap up. I will potentially do this again. Is it boring? Is what? Is what boring? Waiting for Josh's response here. Yeah, I think, um, I mean, the kind of people that go into consulting don't think it's boring. Um, they are pretty interested in this, and I think um, people really love thinking about business problems, business strategy, solving hard problems. I think it was fun for me because it was a lot of sense making. So you go into these companies and then you get mounds of data and information and you're trying to make sense of what different people think, what makes sense from an industry perspective, what are the competitors doing, what are the realities on the ground in terms of finances. And then pulling that together and saying, okay, here's 3 different things that you haven't looked at before, and here's how you might integrate that into what our vision of the future looks like. You're kind of co-developing that with a client too. The work can be pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, if your gut instinct is big biz consulting sounds boring, um, that's probably a really bad sign that I don't think it would be a good fit for you. Um, Mostly because most of the people that are drawn to consulting are like super into learning about it and really interested in business on average. Cool. Well, we are going to shut down the live stream. Thank you for attending.